Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Today, we're going to talk about the new DVD that Lindsey Williams has recently come out with. Lindsey Williams served as a missionary on the Trans-Alaska Pipeline back in the 70s for some 3 years, where he became friends with some of the elite that rule the world, literally. They tell Lindsey what they're planning, and he tells us in some of his DVDs. Now, as you know, we don't offer his DVDs at a discount very often, normally maybe once every 2 or 3 years. This particular DVD is normally going for a gift of $48, but we're making it available to you today for a short time at prophecyclub.com for a gift of just $38 plus shipping. That's $38 plus shipping. Yeah, that's good. Order The Planned Collapse of the U.S. Economy at prophecyclub.com for a few more days. That's prophecyclub.com. Normally $48, now available for a gift of just $38. One more thing. This may be the last time that I make this offer, the last time I play this on the radio. I'm not certain what I'm going to do yet. So if I were you, I wouldn't take a chance. I'd go to prophecyclub.com. Place your order, gift of $38. And by the way, if you can give more than $38 for it, we would much appreciate that, and now would be a wonderful time for the help. Again, it's called The Planned Collapse of the U.S. Economy at prophecyclub.com. Now let's go listen to part of the audio from the DVD by Lindsey Williams called The Planned Collapse of the U.S. Economy.
Plans are already made for America by the IMF, the World Bank, and other groups that I'll talk about as we go along today. The next word, Phnom Penh. Oh, you remember it. The announcement at this summit meeting in Phnom Penh said that 15 Asian nations comprising 1/2. Now, how many nations, what was the percentage of this other group over here? You're right, 43%. Now, when Phnom Penh took place, 15 Asian nations comprising 1/2 of the world's population, they met and formed the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. Who was excluded from this partnership? The United States of America. Our president was there, but they snubbed their nose at him and said, "We're not going to allow you to be a part." He came home, and it was never reported in the American media what happened at that meeting. What am I trying to work up to? I hope you're beginning to get this. You and I, more than likely, the majority of people watching this DVD live in the United States of America. You and I are going to face the most phenomenal events in 2015 that has ever happened in your life, my life, the life of our parents, our relatives. You will face it in 2015. I wish I could leave this one off, but I can't. Most people have never heard of Jamie Caruso, even though he is the head of an immensely powerful organization. He has been serving as the general manager of the Bank of International Settlement since 2009 and will continue in that role until 2017. The Bank of International Settlements is a rather boring name, but very few people realize that it is the very source of global financial system. So when Jamie Caruso speaks, people should listen. Listen to what he had to say. And the fact that he recently warned that the global financial system is currently, here are his exact words, more fragile in many ways than it was just prior to the collapse of Lehman Brothers that set off all sorts of alarm bells. Yes, we're in the midst of one of the most alarming times that has ever been on the face of this earth. Now, I'm going to give you the date. May I state again before I do this, the elite are human beings. They think they're God, but they aren't. They don't always get their way. And my elite friend gave me, which caused, now you remember why it happened. You called and asked the Prophecy Club for me to go to my elite friends and get details. And you wanted dates. Well, when he gave them to me, I was stunned. And I'm going to give you one at this point that I hope will shadow you also. The date the elite, if they have their way, will bring about a financial collapse will be in September and October of 2015. 2008, take that year, which was the last major financial crisis in the world, and multiply it over and over and over and over and over and over again, and you'll have what's going to happen in 2015. David Stockman. You remember I said one day that my elite friend had said to me, I want you to go to a certain place and you'll have a definition of what the next major financial crisis is going to be. I did. I went on the web and I found the words of David Stockman. And this is what he said. He said, when it burst, there will be no new round of bailouts like it was for the banks in 2008. Did you catch that? 2008 over and over and over and over again. He said, there'll be no bailouts like this again. Are you ready for the definition of what's going to happen in 2015 if the elite have their way? You did hear me say, if the elite have their way. And it looks at this point they will, barring something major. Here is David Stockman's definition. He says, America will descend into an era of zero-sum austerity and violent political conflict, extinguishing even today's feeble remnants of economic growth. I'd like you to hear it from one of the most wealthy men on the face of the earth. His name is Hugo Salinas Price. He's a Mexican billionaire. Understand, he owns the communication system of Mexico. And Mr. Price said, I think we're going to see a series of bankruptcies. I think the rise in interest rates will be the fatal sign which is going to ignite the derivative crisis. This is going to bring down the derivative system of $1 quadrillion. Did you catch that? The derivative system today is estimated to be $1 quadrillion. No controls whatsoever. Every bank in the world is involved in it. Since interest rates are so low, banks can't make it any longer on interest. There's only one thing they can do. Go to the Las Vegas one-armed bandit of the financial world called the derivative market, and every lending institution in the world is playing it now because interest rates are so low. Hugo Salinas Price said, most derivatives are related to interest rates. The spiking of interest rates in the United States may set it off. What is going to happen in the world is eventually they're going to come to a moment where there's going to be a massive bankruptcies around the globe. What is going to be left after the dust settles is, please catch this word, I didn't say it. One of the richest men on the face of the earth said it. What is going to be left after the dust settles is gold. Some people are going to have it, and some people are not. Then the problem is going to be how to hold on to it, what you've got, because it's going to be a very unpleasant world. How's it going to happen? Well, it'll happen when there's some things taking place with the banks. And I need to remind you again the process of the derivative market. Derivatives are very complicated bank instruments, legal instruments, or financial instruments. The derivative market will be brought down by, number one, currency wars, By number 2, the trade wars. And then number 3, the final nail that will be driven into the coffin of the derivative market will be when interest rates begin to go up. The moment you hear of interest rates beginning to rise, it's all over. It's finished. Be ready. You'll probably hear some words about it before, but hopefully you do, and you know how to discern it. Let me read you an article from Bloomberg, and I'm quite sure you've watched the news lately as to what's happening with Russia. U.S. and European Union sanctions against Russia threaten to hasten the move away from the dollar that's been striving since the global financial crisis. One place the shift has become evident. Now please catch these words, and I hope you'll write them down. The American dollar is losing. The American dollar has had it. The American dollar is dying. All over the world, they're cashing it in. One place that the shift has become evident is in Hong Kong, where the dollar selling has led to the central banks to buy more than $9.5 billion since June the 1st to prevent its currency from rallying as the sanctions stroked flux Russian cash. OAO, Russia's second largest wireless operator, shifted some cash holdings away from its dollar account. Trading of the Chinese yen versus the Russian ruble rose to the highest on July the 31st since the end of 2010. We have hastened the collapse of the dollar by the decisions that have been made in Washington, and the Russian crisis will grow stronger and stronger, mark my words. Again, a Moscow-based company, it's called Megafon, has been targeted by sanctions. It's moving its funds into Hong Kong dollars. Chief Financial Officer Greg something, I can't pronounce his name, is in a phone interview last said, billions have been transferred away from the U.S. dollar and into the euro. Again, listen to this one. A company that is a producer of nickel and palladium, one of the very much needed metals in our world today, is keeping some of its cash in Asian currency. They've moved away from the American dollar. Two people knowledgeable of this said that they identified this move out of the American dollar. Now, when BRICS, 40% of the world's population, when Phnom Penh, the large block of population over there, when China and Russia and the countries that are so disgusted with our Federal Reserve System, when they say we no longer will use, and this has already been said, we no longer will use the American dollar, what happens to the dollar? Now, you figure it out for yourself. When it's no longer needed, you have something in your house you don't need, where do you put it? You put it in the garbage can. What's going to happen to the American dollar when the world doesn't need it? It's going to become nothing but the worthless piece of paper which the Federal Reserve has made it. Listen what's happening in Russia. Rich Russians are looking to move funds to banks in Hong Kong, Singapore, and Dubai. Chief executive of Moscow-based group said that they have moved $400 million on behalf of rich Russians just within the past few days out of the American dollar and into these other currencies. China is making a push for greater use of its currency in international trade. The People's Bank of China extended a yuan swap list to Switzerland in July. After agreeing to facilitate with the European Central Bank last year, the nation also agreed to allow companies to clear transactions in London and Frankfurt for the first time and no longer in New York. Folks, all of this has happened in preparation for 2015. This is not being done by chance. This is being done by design for preparation of what will take place in 2015, and I hope you're catching it. How will it happen? I've told you the dates that the elite say it will happen if they have their way. Now, please make preparation apply to those dates. I hope that you'll set everything in order. Most important part, set your spiritual house in order. Do that before you do your dollar house in order. And then set your financial house in order. 2015 is going to be catastrophic. How will it happen? First of all, you're going to see a major drop in the stock market. Secondly, the stock market will precipitate a collapse of the derivative market. When the $1 quadrillion that's in the derivative market collapses, the banks, you heard me, the banks will be in grave trouble because the banks no longer can depend on interest to keep them going. They now have to depend on the derivative market, which is a gambling den for the banks and the super wealthy of the world. When the derivatives go, the majority of the banking institutions go with them. And I've told that they want 10 banking establishments only in America. This is their goal. All the rest of them, they want them closed. And everybody under their auspices. At the same time, your IRA, your 401k, and your pension fund will become worthless at the time of the collapse. Please make preparations. You cannot trust somebody else to handle your finances for you. What will happen at that time? Gold will skyrocket. You heard what Hugo Salinas Price said. I agree with him. I've heard that same thing from other of my elite friends. The one thing that has stood for thousands of years, it's the only thing that'll stand when that happens. People will beg at that point. No, you're not going to have riots. I've tried to tell you this in the course of this DVD, that my elite friend said, you are not going to see riots in America. In my previous DVD, I told you how they are dumbing people down in order to make them so that they won't riot. Instead, when these institutions fail, and what they want to do in 2015 when it happens, you're going to see riots in America. Instead, you're going to see people, mark my words, you're going to see people beg and plead, please get us out of this mess. My children are going hungry. I've got to have food in the house. I can't put gasoline in the tank of my automobile to get to work. Please, please step in and help us. That's not a riot. That's a begging for the New World Order. And that's exactly what you're going to see happen. I'd like you to hear a man that put it so well. He was asked the question, what is the biggest threat to the United States of America?
May I begin with you, Mr. Prager. If you had to identify a single threat to the future of our country, above all the others, what would it be? And then others comment as well when the time comes.
No, it's not Obama. It's not. If God forbid President Obama came down with an illness, nothing would change. Nothing. I believe the greatest threat facing America, I believe this my entire adult life, is that we have not passed on what it means to be American to this generation. You cannot, let me make this is not a sweet line. This is meant literally. A society does not survive if it does not have a reason to survive. That's true for individuals. Where there is a why, there is a how. I hate to tell you who said it, Nietzsche, but nevertheless, it remains true. We have lost the why. The greatest generation did not teach my generation what Americanism is. It's not its fault. it wasn't taught. This goes back 100 years to John Dewey, to the importation of European professors to our universities, to a whole host of issues. The average American who deeply loves this country and even has conservative values cannot articulate what those values are. It is no one's fault, but that is the greatest threat. When we understand this American trinity, in God we trust, liberty, e pluribus unum, that is uniquely American. It is not European. The French preferred fraternité and liberté and égalité, equality. We don't, as I explained in my talk. We believe in equality of birth, but not equality of result. When it is understood what America stands for, when it is understood that there is a moral dimension to a smaller government, it is not an economic question, it is a moral question. We give far more charity per capita than Europeans do. Why? Are we born better? No. The bigger the government, the worse the citizen. They are preoccupied in Europe with how much time off. Where will they vacation? When will they retire? These are selfish questions. These are not altruistic questions. So the goodness that America created is jeopardized by our not knowing what we stand for. That's our greatest threat. We are our problem.
Yes, sir.
I just want to add a word here. There will always be a sliver of Americans like Governor Palin's son who will enlist and know in their gut, because of their home life or because they're just special, that they know that we have to defend freedom. But the very fact that the United States of America is about to confirm to the U.S. Supreme Court a woman who banned the military from her campus gives you an idea of how deep this problem is. That is not disqualifying to Democrats. To Democrats, that is not disqualifying is a moment of darkness in American history. I would... obviously, I'm completely in agreement with the governor and my colleague. I would just add that I have never said this, so I have good credentials to say this now, because it's common for commentators to say every election, this is the most important election in American history or in our time. I never said that except with regard to one, with regard to Bush 2, term 2, because if we had fled Iraq, the consequences in the world for the ascendance of evil were too frightening to imagine. So I've only said this once before, and it was a presidential election. This is not a presidential election and is the most important in modern American history this November. This November is a referendum on what we want America to be. It is nothing short of that. And there is one party that stands for America's values, and it has nothing to do with patriotism, and I'm not attacking patriotic fervor or love of America. It has nothing to do with that. You can love America and be an awful American. You could love your children and be an awful parent. Okay? These things have to be spelled out to the left because they like to distort everything that we say. So the issue is not, are you a wonderful, wonderful person or love America? The issue is you have different values than America was founded on. And this is a referendum this November. That is why you must work your tails off as we are working our tails off. If we do not change both houses, we lose. That is how important it is.
Let me close this portion of our program by calling on each of our speakers in the same order as they were introduced to begin, beginning with Dennis Prager. Dennis.
Okay. Folks, Abraham Lincoln said that the United States is the last best hope for Earth. That's the way he put it, or we often say for mankind. It will not be the last best hope for mankind if it becomes like Western Europe. Nobody has ever said Norway is the last best hope for mankind. Is that fair to say? And I know I'll be attacked as anti-Norwegian because anything that we say is race-based. So with the risk of being considered anti-Scandinavian in my essence, may I say that nobody says Sweden, Norway, or Denmark is the last best hope of mankind, nor have they said that since 1603 about France. And so it has only been said about the United States. This is the force for good on this earth. It is not peace activists that liberated Auschwitz. It is military people who liberated Auschwitz. The left has everything wrong. Everything wrong. And that is what this battle is about, and it's a heroic battle, but we have to win. We have to do it based on the knowledge of what we are and what we have to retain, this being the last best hope for mankind. Do we want to be? The left does not want to be. The president was asked, do you believe in American exceptionalism? You know what his answer was? I'm sure many of you know it. He said, I believe in American exceptionalism the way a Brit believes in British exceptionalism, and the way in which a Greek believes in Greek exceptionalism. But Greeks don't believe in Greek exceptionalism. They don't. Except an exceptional ability to get Germany to bail them out of their problems. That's exceptional, I must admit. But no, do you realize what that answer means? It means we are not exceptional. That's what this battle is about. Is this a great human experiment or isn't it? And finally, do we trust the United States to increase good on earth, or the United Nations to increase good on earth? The left believes that the UN is a greater force for good than the United States. The United Nations just elected Iran to the Commission on the Status of Women. Do you know, this was the first time in 28 years of broadcasting I could not think of an absurd analogy, because you can't out-absurd what happened at the UN. To elect Iran, I can only imagine, maybe they will,
Well, I'm going to interrupt the DVD right now, but I encourage you to go to prophecyclub.com right now. Normally, we don't offer a discount on his DVDs, but very seldom, maybe once every 2 or 3 years. This particular DVD normally values at $48, but you go to prophecyclub.com right now and place a gift order for it for a gift of just $38 or more plus shipping. It's called The Planned Collapse of the U.S. Economy at prophecyclub.com, and it's available for a few more days, but we don't know how long we're going to be offering it, and this may be the final time I play this on the radio. So if I were you, I wouldn't take any chances. Go to prophecyclub.com, place your order for it right now, gift of $38 plus shipping. Now, if you can give more than $38, now would be a real good time for that, and it would be greatly appreciated. Once again, it's called The Planned Collapse of the U.S. Economy at prophecyclub.com. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your prayers, and thank you for your gifts of support. God bless. Now from the Prophecy Club, some exciting opportunities for you. Prophet Leslie will be speaking each Sunday morning through the end of December, making a 10 DVD set called Error in the Church. This will help you to recognize a biblically based church and avoid those with errors in doctrine, committing abomination, heresy, apostasy, and blasphemy. Many churches are like a poison M&M. They look good, taste good, but they'll kill you spiritually. Like Chronicles 20:20 says, believe in the Lord your God, so shall you be established. Believe his prophets, and so shall you prosper. And the topics are Mysticism, New Age of the Christian Church, The Kundalini Spirit Warning by Andrew Strom of Australia, New Reformation Church or Kingdom Now Theology Church, Chrislam, Seeker-Friendly, Seeker-Sensitive Church, The Emergent Church, Postmodernism, the G12 Vision Church, Tazi Worship Church, Tangible Kingdom Movement Church, Viserian Siberian Jesus Church, Hyper Grace Movement, Yoga in the Church, 12 topics, 10 DVDs valued at $300, and you can place your order for them now for just a gift of $180. She'll be speaking 9:30 to 10:30 each Sunday through the end of December at the Spirit of Prophecy Church, 2540 K Avenue in Plano. That's on the corner of Park and K in Plano. No charge, of course. See you there.